Hi, everyone. It is April 22nd, 2021. Have you noticed that there is a concerted effort to divide this nation? Left, right, black, white. Concerted, primarily on the side of the left, the Democrats. So I don't know if you caught this. Just a couple of days ago, I heard this clip, CNN interviewing Fauci, COVID. And I get outraged a lot lately. But here, once again, dividing, conquering, causing an awful lot of division when, well, didn't Biden say he was going to heal the country of that? Well, they're not doing it. So Fauci blamed Republicans for pretty much everything. Yes, it's the right. They're the racists. They're to be blamed for all the problems that this country is experiencing. But I couldn't believe that he said this. The fact that one may not want to get vaccinated, in this case, a disturbingly large portion of Republicans, really, only actually works against where they want to be. So, a disturbingly large proportion of Republicans, Fauci, if you know that, that means that, man, are you collecting an awful lot of private information about everybody who's getting vaccinated and who's not, right? Okay, so it only works against where they want to be. They want to be able to say these restrictions that are put on by public health recommendations are things that they're very concerned about. We're all concerned about that. We share that concern. But the way you get rid of these restrictions is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly and as expeditiously as possible. On the one hand, they want to be relieved of this is all about the Republicans, by the way. They want to be relieved of the restrictions, but on the other hand, they don't want to get vaccinated. It just almost doesn't make any sense. Okay, so when people hear this, those people who still are so entrenched in the matrix, they believe that it's the Republicans that are keeping us from our freedom. If only the Republicans would get vaccinated, we could all be free again. Now, we have so many batshit crazies in Congress, in the White House, all over. But what this woman said when she's talking about police reform, how could it be? These remarks that she came out speaking just before the Chauvin verdict, when the jury was deliberating, and how inflammatory, incendiary, well, let's just say incite to riot. But Pelosi had no problem with everything that she said when she said that she wants everybody to get out on the street, to be more confrontational, really? Well, the looting that was taking place, the burning of a church, the destruction that took place in Minneapolis. She comes to Minneapolis, a California congresswoman comes to Minneapolis to incite more riotous behavior. That's exactly what she did, but she's not held to account. But this woman, impeach 45, actually said to get into the restaurants, and if you see anybody, that's in the Trump administration, run them out of the restaurant. Tell them they're not welcome there. Democrats, now I was a lifelong Democrat up until Oh, I'd say I departed very soon after Obama came into office, listening to his lies. And I just said, to hell with it. I can't do this. And talking to my former liberal Democrat, that was my entire social network for decades. But when Obama came into office, we spent years talking about wanting to hang Bush and Cheney for their lies, getting us into wars, yada, yada, yada. Obama comes into office. First day, he's lying that pomp and circumstance of a ceremony that was all bullshit. The first day, signing the executive order to ban lobbyists in his administration, and it didn't take but a couple of days. Well, that was a Friday. He took the oath of office on a Thursday. Friday, he signs that executive order, and everybody goes, see, he's going to keep his promises. And Monday, he's letting lobbyists into his administration. So all of the lies, and talking to my former friends, I was the crazy one. I was so negative. I was this. I was that. That it finally got to a point where I lost all respect for them and had to walk away. Before #walk away. But now listening to these people who have truly become, they're deranged. And maybe age, I think she's 80 or 81, Pelosi. I mean, all of these people are, well, don't want to be ageist since I'm kind of up there too, not 80, but, you know, you listen to their remarks. And, you know, there's a sense of betrayal that I experience over and over and over again. But there's also a sense of, what the hell happened to this party? You know, and I have thought long and hard, okay, were they like this when I was, you know, on that team? Were they like this? No, they weren't. No. And I used to, you know, you have to, it's so hard to kind of, weed out the indoctrination in one's own brain. But we were the side of justice. We were the side of the, you know, rights for all and caring for the underdog, and we were the smart ones. Yes, we were the good team. The Republicans were the bad team. The Republicans were the greedy corporate team, and we were just angels. We were rational. And, well, at that time, the best I can say is they were far more rational than they have become in the recent years. So, and they're really showing their Marxist face now, especially this woman. But what she said, and I haven't heard many people talk about it. You'll hear it. And it's so outrageous that she should be thrown from office. And, by the way, if you look into Maxine Waters, she, just like all the others in Congress, she has made it to the top 10, top 5, and then most corrupt in Congress. Maxine Waters. Oh, she lives in this, you know, well, it's in between $4.5 or $6 million mansion outside the district that she represents. And she was made the chair of the what is it, the Banking and Financial Committee? I can't remember the exact title of it. And as chair, she actually spoke to the Treasury Secretary and did some arm twisting to get a bank that her husband is on the board of, can't remember the name, a Boston bank, or for this bank that didn't fit the criteria to get any TARP funds, they got $12 million. Enriching herself, just like Pelosi, just like all of them. Not giving a shit about those that she represents, but hey, she and her family made an awful lot of money. And talk about nepotism, in her campaign, and her daughter getting, oh God, a very, very nice salary. Look, this has been going on for decades, how corrupt our politicians are. It's sickening. It's so in our face now. But Americans permit it. We permit it. We've given our consent, believing all of the horse shit they say, believing all of the lies that they tell. That's consent. You want your country to be destroyed? Sit in silence. Listen to these liars. Accept all of their lies. Listen to mainstream media that is 100% government propaganda that they report. Go ahead. You consent to the destruction not only of your own country, but your own life. But this Marxist ideology that is now, man, is it raining upon us. It's a storm, okay? We're talking a hurricane coming at us. And it's these inflammatory remarks from people like Maxine Waters. Not only are they repulsive, they are so dangerous because they're setting up that divide, left and right. And they are making the right out to be the worst of the worst, the white supremacists, the racists, which is exactly what this woman says when talking about police reform.
Justice.
What's your opinion of the police reform efforts that are being discussed right here? And do you think that any of them have any hope of being enacted through maybe this Congress?
Well, I am not happy that we have talked about police reform for so long, and it's not only this piece of legislation, but it's been years. I confronted the police chief, Daryl Gates, in Los Angeles years ago about the killing of Eula Love and about the chokehold and about all of that. We've been fighting for so many years for reform, reform, reform. And so, yes, I would like to see the bill in Congress pass on police reform, but I know that the right wing, the racists, are opposed to it, and I...
That's all you had to hear. The right wing, the Republicans, the racists. She comes right out and says it. Okay, she should be removed from office. This woman is despicable, and she's dangerous. But there she is. And Pelosi, of course, now that remark in itself incites violence towards the right. So she's an impeach 45, impeach 45, impeach 45 kind of gal. So violent is her rhetoric. And Trump didn't do anything. But they waste taxpayer money to go through an impeachment of a guy that is no longer in office. Okay. Americans, if you now recognize that your country has, well, it's gone a little nuts, you can thank the Democrats primarily. The Republicans know better in terms of they also corrupt, pad their pockets. They allowed an awful lot of that legislation, voted for legislation that was essentially treasonous. And they're not doing much to curb the batshit crazies on the other side. So, we're at a point now that if Americans don't grow up and begin to face reality of where we are, nothing good can come in the future. Nothing good for themselves, nothing good for their children. The Marxist, communist ideology is running full speed. You know, I want you to listen to just a few minutes of this video. Barack Obama is a dangerous man. Now, the closed mind on the left they were cemented in this, oh my God, he walks on water, he's just so fabulous. And they would not listen to any, and I'm talking about my former friends, they would not listen. They would not attend to facts and evidence about Barack Obama because, well, they didn't care about the truth. They only cared about their team. And they were so well enthralled with the celebrity Obama. And that's unfortunate because, now, look, Obama didn't dream all of this up. He's not that smart. He's a good actor, and he speaks in a way that kind of captures your attention because he's eloquent. And coming right after Bush, well, that they didn't even care what he said as long as he was eloquent in what he was saying. You know, we were swooned by the eloquence after Bush. So, this was true all along. There was evidence that Barack Obama, dangerous.
I started writing about cultural Marxism in the early 2000s, somewhere around 2005, 6, and 7. Blogged about it intensely in 2007 during the election because of what I saw as the incredible threat of Barack Obama, who was a massive cultural Marxist. And in my opinion, then and now, a dangerous man on a number of fronts and for a number of reasons. And so, yeah, I ended up, some of you may have seen an interview that I did on CNN before the election, talking about, some of these issues.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's interesting. The bottom line on that is people look at this ticket and their fear is that we will have Barack Obama as our president, that we will be moved toward a socialist agenda, that we would have the most radically pro-abortion candidate ever to run for president to serve in that office. And that is an untenable position for evangelicals. And so they look at this and they're trying to decide this based on what's best for the nation in the here and now.
I only got to do that one time. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. The lady said after the interview was over that, yeah, we'll have to have you back. And I knew at that moment that I would never be back on that person's show again. And so this is not something new. Why did I think it was an issue at that time? Because of a number of things. Let me give you just a few that I wrote about then and was worried about then because of the philosophy of cultural Marxism and because of this man's long history with cultural Marxism. not only from his university days, but even his church. This man sat under an overt Marxist pastor for decades. Jeremiah Wright was an overt, he was not just a cultural Marxist, he was also a classical Marxist, okay? This man had sat under that teaching for years and years. Not only had he done that, but his position on certain issues, like, for example, his homosexual agenda, the most radically pro-homosexual politician that I had ever seen or experienced in the mainstream, his position on abortion and infanticide, which was radical, on judicial activism, hate crimes legislation. And I believed and said openly on a number of occasions that I believed this man's presidency would make race relations in America worse, not better. An article that I wrote and actually reprinted 2 years later, because I'm not big on I told you so, but I told you so.
Thanks for...
Now, for those who have a closed mind and are not religious and have problems with, somebody who is a Christian and they talking about, abortion, and so many people think that, and as I did, because I had been so indoctrinated in believing that, abortion doesn't hurt the baby. No, you've got to do the research. Get out of your indoctrinated brain. Do research on every issue, and then you'll find out the truth. Then you will find out the truth. And I found out the truth. Abortion. Okay. I'm not even. I can't go there because it's a whole other video. But when you begin to put down all of what is so insignificant and begin to open your mind and listen to people who may have different beliefs than you do, well, you can begin to cut through all of that and listen to the significance of what they are saying. Obama is a Marxist. He made race relations worse. He was constantly playing the race card. That was his role. He's an actor. And now we're in 2021. Biden, his presidency, just in the last few months, this country has gone way downhill fast. When you look at this, Washington Department of Health lets providers deny vaccines to white people for equity. Now, I guess you're lucky, white people, and not so lucky, black people. Because that vaccine, can't say it, right, on YouTube. Race exclusionary system, they claim creates equity and removes barriers. We are going backwards. Thank you, primarily Democrats. Thank you, bringing us back to a time where race discrimination is in your face, but now it's white, the white people. This can't go anywhere good. By default, white people are put on a standby list, one of two lists segregated by race for vaccine access. Now, we all have, I think we're all in agreement about those vaccines. But they're doing this in hospitals. Race exclusionary system. They are literally denying white people medical access for other minorities. By default, white people are put on a standby list, one of two lists segregated by race for vaccine access. They will only provide their online appointments to people of color. Now, people of color, especially Black Americans, you know about our medical system, that, well, history shows it hasn't been a system that favored Black Americans. So now they're favoring Black Americans for this vaccine. You should really look into that vaccine. Equitable access if you have the right skin color. You must identify, these are online sign-ups for the vaccine. You must identify as either a person of color or as white. Part of the reason we ask that is because of the funding that we receive. If you're a person of color, you can move forward and schedule a vaccine appointment if there is an opening. You should really think about that, my fellow Black Americans. Really think about that. What's going on? But if you're white, you are automatically placed on a standby list, and it's not the only list. The first list is a wait list for people of color, and should a vaccine appointment open up, if the wait list is emptied and vaccine availabilities eventually open up, only then will a white person on the standby list be contacted. The policy effectively bars white people from accessing taxpayer-funded vaccines set up through the state. The system, apparently, according to Twanda Hill, and Earth, I don't know what that is, AARTH. Well, Hill says, and listen to this, the system isn't truly exclusionary. A small percentage of white people on the standby list make it through. She also notes that people who lie about their race won't be turned away. Okay. All right. The State Department of Health in Washington, the spokespeople refused to directly answer whether or not vaccine providers may discriminate on the basis of race. They were given 4 opportunities to directly answer the question. Instead, they framed their race exclusionary vaccinations policy around prioritizing communities of color. Okay, take vaccine out of there and just put in something else. Access to education. Well, it's hard to put in anything now because, well, everything has been so weaponized against all Americans. But this is what's happening. It's not good. Well, forget about that it's a vaccine. The whole philosophy around this is not good for anyone. So, wow, we now have woke soap. 7th generation. We continue to face deep racial inequity in our society as Chauvin's trial comes to a close for the murder of George Floyd. And as more Black and brown lives continue to be lost at the hands of the police, and the countless unnamed, stopping the continued killing of Black and brown people at the hands of the police demands we divest from police and invest in systems that build community health and well-being. We support defunding the police. Okay. Everybody has to go woke. You have to go woke. If you don't go woke, you're canceled. 1984. Put down the memory hole. This is so sick. What really upsets me is that we were so resolving our race issue in this country. What upsets me is the obviousness of the lunacy to say that this country today is just still poisoned by systemic racism. When you look at how many Black Americans, very successful in our systemically racist system, doesn't cut mustard, doesn't make sense. They're lying outright about something that doesn't exist. It did exist. However, it doesn't anymore. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so many successful Black Americans. All right, well, they're CEOs, they're mainstream media reporters, they're in academia, they're government official. Hi. What, that President Obama? Yeah, okay. Where most Americans voted for Obama. Most. Okay. And, well, that means a whole lot of white Americans. I guess they were racist. They were so racist that they had to vote to hide their racism. Okay. Well, here. Walking into George Floyd Square. They have a George Floyd Square. A criminal. George Floyd Square. And this is what you see. A sacred space for community, public grief, and protest. So this is where I can't get that off. For white people in particular, that's right, white people in particular, there are rules. Decenter yourself and come to listen, learn, mourn, and witness. Remember, you are here to support, not to be supported. Oh, really? Can I make that bigger? It won't go bigger. So in other words, with everything that's going on, only Black people can have feelings that need to be supported. White people, you're not to be supported. Be mindful of whether your volume, pace, and movements are supporting or undermining your efforts to decenter yourself. Seek to contribute to the energy of the space rather than drain it. Bring your own processing to other white folks so that you will not harm BIPOC. I'm not sure what that is. Consider if you want or need to take photos and post them. Do not take photos of other people without their consent. If you witness white folks doing problematic things, speak up with compassion to take the burden off Black folks and our siblings of color. Whenever appropriate, seek to engage rather than escalate so that it can be a learning moment rather than a disruption. And care for each other by wearing a mask. Organized. It's an organized movement by Marxists. Marxists who are just literally destroying our country. And there's a lot of evidence. So just do the research. This is what I wish happened to everyone who speaks bullshit.
Hi, my name is Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I am
I use she, her pronouns, and
Hi, my name is Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I am
Wouldn't that be great? Pelosi, Waters, Biden, Psaki, all of these people. Oh, the list is long. Every time they lied, they had a cat smash them in the face. Well, I'm going to be ending this video here, and I'm going to pick up with this. Philadelphia schools have adopted a radical curriculum encouraging children to glorify black communism and simulate black power rallies. Meanwhile, in some schools, 87% of students fail to achieve basic literacy. Yay! You leftist, Marxist, you're so... Why can't people see what is so in their face? Concentrating on race. Concentrating on how racist this country is. When we came so far away from that, they're putting us right back. And all you need to do is just a little bit of research to find out that the Marxists, the socialists, the communists, this is their tactic. And in this country, race was the tactic to use to divide. Just a little bit of research. It's not hard. Americans really need to wake up because things are not good. Philadelphia fifth graders forced to celebrate black communism. Yay!